Hey guys, welcome back to another Disney Pixar Connection video. I'm your host Alex. How are you guys today? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on everything, what's going on in your day to day. I like to just know a little bit more about you. Anyway, officially Moon Knight came out, so that should be posted or will be posted shortly. I promise you, sometimes I film a little bit ahead, so just to warn you, if I film ahead and you see a premiere, it's usually because of that. But we're talking about Civil War Theory. I know that's crazy because we're going all the way back in time while we have new things to cover. I get it. We have to kind of just cover all these bases. But we covered the Civil War movie back last Saturday, so you guys can check that out. And then we covered Thor Ragnarok Easter eggs as well on Sunday. And this is our last Marvel themed video of the month. It is last of the month, so yay. We are going into April. My goodness, we are going to have a Pixar themed month. We're covering a lot. I believe actually I said it for 2 months. Hold on, let me look. Yep, so the next 2 months we're going to be covering Pixar, going back to the OG, the Civl Theory, and we're going to have some interesting stuff to talk about. Anywho, back to Marvel, because that's where we're at. If you haven't already checked out our Marvel updates video, there is a ton happening, and this is important to note because some of the things I'm going to be talking about in this theory and what has been hinted to in this theory talks about things that are upcoming. So you might want to know. Anywho, let's continue on. Civil War Theory. Now, the Armor Wars, which is an upcoming MCU show, okay, and it's going to cover War Machine, aka, oh god, what's his name? James Rhodes, who was Iron Man's friend, and he took over. It's played by Don Cheadle now. Will be part of it. It's going to be like the Civil War 2 in phase 4, and like Captain America Civil War, the TV series could pit two opposing factions of superheroes against each other in an all-out war. Now, this is both due to the comic books and the movies. There is a Civil War 2 in the comic books, so we shall see. Marvel's first Civil War erupted from a debate between Captain America and Iron Man, as we know from the Easter eggs and from the movie. We've covered that, right? Over superhero accountability. In the comics, the fight ended with Captain America winning the fight but losing the war. Over a decade later, Marvel revisited the concept with a Civil War 2. A wide-reaching crossover event that saw the superheroes of the world choosing sides and going to combat against each other once again. This time, they were fighting over a free will. A large number of Marvel characters, led by Captain Marvel, supported a method of procrastination that would allow them to target potential dangerous criminals before crimes were even committed. Iron Man, however, in contrast to his original Civil War, rose up against both her and the government, arguing preemptive punishment should not come before crime. So basically, as we know, you have to go through court in order to be deemed a criminal, right? Like, this is what we call the crystal ball method, where you're kind of based off certain risk factors, you could potentially become a criminal. That is something that does happen, unfortunately, within real life. They actually use this method to basically take kids away and lock people up. Not so much lock people up because you have to technically prove it, but they will take kids away into foster care. That's a whole other situation. If you guys don't know more about it, I suggest you look it up, but it is something that does exist in real life. Anyway, Marvel adapted the Civil War from the comics and could do a second one as well, but withholding But without following the Iron Man versus Captain Marvel story, Marvel's take on the Civil War II could be a whole new arc, with the Avengers being torn apart for completely different reasons. So we shall see, because Armor Wars has not been set out yet. We don't have a definite date of when that will be launched. But here is the trailer for Armor Wars, in case you're interested. Now, in 1987, Marvel began a 7-issue story called Armor Wars. By the way, you can find this on Marvel Unlimited. I promise this is not a sponsored ad, although if Marvel Unlimited wants to sponsor me, that would be fantastic. It is $10 a month. You can gain access to a ton of different Marvel comics, and I personally love reading these. I will be doing a whole series on this, and this has actually helped me create my Marvel curriculum that I am launching in June for homeschooling. So if you're interested in that, we got some fun things to talk about. You can also check out my book review, where I talk a little bit more about that, or check out my Homeschooling in New York YouTube page, where I'm going to have way more content on that. Anywho, getting back to what we were covering, in the pages of the Iron Man issue 225, it centered Tony Stark's response to the discovery that the armor designs have been stolen. Upset that his tech could be used for evil purposes, Iron Man joined forces with War Machine and compiled a list of people who could have his tech. So as we saw from Iron Man 2 and I believe 3 as well, we saw a little bit of this, but here's some War Machine and Iron Man clips.
My name's Justin Hammer. I want to make Iron Man look like an antique.
So now that you've seen a little bit of it, they kind of already did a little bit of this. Not so much who could have had it, but we know that definitely some of the tech was figured out, stolen, whatever you want to call it, and it was used in both of those films. But in the comics, they hold on. In the comics, they search for culprits and bring them into battle with classic characters like Titanium Man, Crimson Dynamo, as well as other antagonists such as Beetle and Stiltman from Spider-Man. So there's some interesting characters that might come about. We shall see. Anyway, it is important to note that the villains were far from the only problem Iron Man had to deal with during the Armor Wars comics. Other major obstacles were his own allies, including S.H.I.E.L.D., Captain America, and the Avengers. Stark, who had long been a trusted member of the superhero community, saw his reputation slip a bit when he defeated Marvel hero Stingray, a character he had wrongly accused of stealing his designs. In particular, the incident with Stingray put him on the wrong side of Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. You don't want to be there, trust me. Making matters worse was a jailbreak at a superhero prison, and Iron Man accidentally caused with his reckless pursuit of his targets. This formed a huge rift between him and Captain America. Again. And they had a big fallout because of it. Things for Iron Man spiraled downward from there, with the Hawkeye and the West Coast Avengers electing to kick him off the team. In the end, Iron Man did win the Armor Wars by stopping the thieves, but his efforts came at a great cost. His relationship with his fellow heroes were left severely damaged. So by the way, these are all in the comics. Okay, so like I'm not giving away what happens in the show. It has not been released yet or when, so we don't really know if it's going to go off the comics. I'm just summarizing here. One good thing about the MCU, though, is possibly in this show version of Civil War II that it would allow Marvel to address loose ends from Captain America's Civil War. Marvel never really gave us this gave that story a proper conclusion, and Iron Man's side captured Captain America's allies at the end of the movie, but Marvel left a number of issues unresolved. Marvel finally brought the conflict to an end in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame because they had to join forces to work together, but this only happened because a bigger threat forced them to put aside their differences. This doesn't really count as a true resolution. Marvel could do a better job with its armor wars now that Thanos has been defeated. And the characters, so our superheroes, can go back to working on their problems that are internal and external closer to home. It is possible that in the series, the issue of Superman accountability will come back into play as War Machine for War Machine as well as others. So, what are your thoughts and opinions? I'd love to hear what you think might happen. I think this would be an interesting play as far as what, how close these movies are getting to the to what's happening in the comics. I am going to do a whole series about that eventually. I'm slowly getting up to where I can begin thinking out differently in different aspects beyond the Easter eggs and things like that. But I think it would be fun to take a turn there, like one a week or something, come sometime. Sometime later in this year, maybe even next, I can focus more on that. Anyway, I hope you all have a terrific day and a terrific weekend, and I will see you Saturday for the Luca Easter eggs. So I will see you then. Have a great day.